Hey guys, this is Zach the Rich Watchman, and welcome to Below the Surface here on Hope for Our Times. Now, if this is your first time here, what I like to do is I like to peel back the layers and dig a little bit deeper into all of the news that we see going on. We have so much news flashing across our screens every single day. Sometimes we can get overwhelmed. Sometimes we don't have the time or the ability to dig deeper into those news things because, as we know, headlines can lie to us. They can be clickbait and they can be leading us into a different idea if we don't actually understand the full story. And because there's so much information, sometimes we can get lost and we don't exactly have a true idea of what's going on. So that's what I like to do. I like to dig a little bit deeper. I like to peel back the layers of the onion and see what's going on when it comes to some of the news that we got going on out there. Now, when it comes to what we're going to talk about today, we understand that a heavy topic that often gets talked about, not only, out there in the regular secular world with the financial stuff, but it's a heavy topic within the prophecy community, because we understand what we are watching right now is the convergence of signs, the Antichrist beast system being built in front of us. And I always put that to the three pillars. One is the one world religion, one is the one world government, and the other is the one world economy. And these are, of course, described in Revelation, but these are the pillars that are basically being constructed in order to raise up this beast system. So when the Antichrist steps onto the scene, he'll flip the switch and it'll all turn on and be ready to use for him. And so the CBDCs are one of the main elements that we are watching when it comes to the one world economy right now. Now, there's various elements to building this one world economy. We have things like UBI, or the Universal Basic Income, which is, we understand that the world right now, all the jobs are being overtaken by AI. They want to replace us with AI. And so they'll have to control the money intake for us, as well as be able to give us money in order to live, because we will have to be paid to do nothing pretty much at that point. We've seen talking heads like Klaus Schwab and Elon Musk, the finance minister of Saudi Arabia, I can't remember his name, Sam Altman, who's all connected up with Chat GPT, OpenAI, things like WorldCoin, and all those types of things. All these guys, plus a whole host of people, have talked about how a UBI system is going to need to be installed in place with the takeover of this AI system coming into play. And then, so we've got the UBI system that's a part of that. Then there's the carbon system, which is the carbon tax and the carbon credit system. These are systems that are going to need to be put in place as well. We've seen information when it comes to getting a carbon tax implemented. If you go back to the meeting, the WEF meeting, in January of this year, there was a whole host of people, including people from Saudi Arabia, the World Bank, Christine Lagarde from the European Central Bank, and a whole bunch of other ones who all said that the carbon tax system is ready to go. It's not something that still needs to be built or tested or any of that. It's ready to go. They're just waiting for the perfect opportunity to install it and bring it into place. And then the agreement has already been agreed upon, all of those who would be under the same rule of this carbon tax. And so that just needs to be ratified. So everything is ready to go when it comes to that. And then, of course, there's the carbon credit system, which you can dive deeper into it. But basically, not only are we going to have a digital currency, but we're also going to have carbon credits, where depending on how you live your lifestyle, driving your car is going to cost more carbon credits than if you take public transportation. Eating meat is going to cost more than if you eat lab-grown stuff or vegetables or anything like that that's more sustainable in their eyes. And so we're going to have a limit to coming to that. So you may have some UBI digital currency in your wallet, but if you don't have enough carbon credits, you won't be able to buy any of that stuff. And so there's a whole element to that as well. So UBI, the carbon credit system, there's the biometric and the digital ID and all that stuff that all plays a part in this one world economy as well. It's not as simple as build a CBDC, replace money with it, and we're done. There's actually a lot more to it. But what I want to talk about is the CBDC. And I noticed that there's still a lot of confusion, a lot of questions. People don't necessarily know how it works or what's being done to put it in place. We keep hearing about a CBDC is coming, a CBDC is coming. Some people have said it's already here, which it's not here in the United States, at least. But if we look at statistics of what's going on, we understand that there is 3 countries out there, they're smaller ones like the Bahamas and stuff, who have they have developed and introduced their CBDC to their country. But then we also see that there's 134 other countries out there who are still currently developing theirs and getting ready to implement it. And so there's still a process of building those and getting them ready to go and to get them online. But here in the United States, we're still developing ours. So it's not here yet. And I've always talked about that a CBDC will require a digital wallet and a digital ID in order for them to work. You can't issue out CBDCs to somebody who doesn't have a digital thing to store a digital piece of currency. So you have to have that stuff come out first. And so we don't have that here yet. Now there's states that are actively developing this stuff. There's states that have released it where you can actually have your driver's license and stuff stored on your digital wallet for the most part, but we don't have a centralized one yet. So that stuff is coming, and it will be required first before we get the CBDC out there. So I want to go ahead and just take a little jaunt through some stuff and hopefully answer some questions and maybe relieve some of the confusion when it comes to the CBDC system. And so the first thing we have to know before we dive any further into anything is the different versions of CBDC, or central bank digital currency. And this is an area of confusion that I think a lot of people have, specifically because they hear about a government that is building a CBDC, but they don't know what type of CBDC it is. And so we're going to take a look at the 2 different types of the CBDC coins. And the first one that has to come before the retail is the wholesale CBDC. So this is the reserve coin that is held by the central banks, and it's the reserve coin that backs all the retail coins. So just like we have our horrifically unconstitutional Federal Reserve, just going to put it plainly like that. Basically, there has to be something, well, I guess I should say it used to be that something had to back the money that was sitting in the central bank, and that central bank would, the money sitting in the central bank was backing the money that was in circulation, like in the regular banks and the stores in our pockets and stuff like that. That's how it used to be. It used to be gold backed the central bank money, and then the central bank backed the retail version of the money. But as we can see, they just continue to print and there's nothing backing it anymore. But ultimately what they're trying to do when it comes to this is there has to be a wholesale version of the CBDC. So they will create the digital currency that will sit in the reserve banks, the central banks, which will then back the digital currency that they will issue to us. And so that is the first one that has to come. Now, a lot of countries, they are still on this phase of developing these. So they haven't even started on the retail version yet, or they have, and it's just, they can't do anything with it until this gets settled. And so the first type of CBDC coin is the wholesale, which is the one that backs the currency that we would have. The next one is the retail CBDC. This is the stuff that most people look at as this is what every country is developing, and so they're building that for us. Eventually, it's going to get to that point, but at this moment in time, many are just trying to focus on the wholesale or the reserve coins. So the retail CBDC is the coin held by financial institutions or our banks and us, what we will have in our digital wallets. This is also the coin held in bank accounts and used for spending. So we've kind of got, I'll make it so it's a little bit easier because we can kind of compare it to what we have today. So you have a debit card and you have just numbers in your bank account that is supposed to represent the money that you have. Now, rule of thumb, and I always make sure everybody understands this, money in the bank is not yours. even though many people say it's mine, it's my money, and I'm just allowing the bank to hold on to it. No, that's their money. They have full control of it. If it goes away, if it disappears, so well, you're out of luck. And so ultimately, if it's in the bank, it's not yours. And so that's one of the reasons why they want to get everybody on digital, because then they have full control. It's programmable and there's nothing you can do about it. But let's get back to on topic here. The comparison is the retail version of this is like the money you have in your debit account. And so you use your card to pay for what it is and it'll go away. Well, that's exactly what they're building when it comes to the retail CBDC, where you will have a digital wallet that just has numbers in there. They're not actually coins, obviously. They're just numbers. And then whenever you use it, it'll be deducted from your account. And so this is the retail CBDC. This is the stuff that you go into a store. Store has their, their cash drawer that has some cash in it. Well, they're basically going to be full on digital with their stuff. And so you can buy, spend, trade, barter, do whatever you need to do between people, between stores, and between your banks. And then, of course, it's all backed up by the wholesale. So these are the two CBDC coins. These are the types that there is and there needs to be for this to function properly. So you need digital wallet, you need a digital ID, you need a wholesale CBDC, and then you need a retail CBDC. If you can get those things online, then you can at least have this digital currency in circulation. Obviously, that's excluding the later stuff that comes in, like UBI and carbon and stuff like that. That'll all get bunched up into this as well. But ultimately, those are the main components that need this to work properly. Now, here's the thing. You can do that, and we already see it now. Like I said, there's 3 countries that are operating this stuff. You can do that without having it be the one world currency. And so something I always say is, because many people claim that the CBDC is going to be the one world economy. Now, it could very well could be. It seems to be that is the direction that this is all going. I lean in that direction as well. I have that same opinion. But something I always say is, just because we see something that looks like it's going to be the thing doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the thing. Something can change, something can be altered, and this can be folded into another program, which could then become what we read in the prophetic scriptures of Revelation when it comes to this one world economy. Right now, this is definitely the closest thing that we have. And when we watch the news and we see what's being developed and what's being tested, this sure does seem like this is going to be that. And so we're watching this. So just because it's a CBDC, 2 things, doesn't mean it's one world, because there's countries that are using it right now and the one world economy is not here yet. And 2, it could be folded into something else down the line, because we know how fast technology and all this stuff is operating. So they could get all this stuff settled, ready to go, and then fold it into another program, which we have no idea about. This stuff happens all the time. Just go back a couple years ago. And I mean, take a look at all the stuff that's happened since then. Did we have any idea any of this was coming? We didn't. So things can change really quick. So I just want to do that. We got to make sure that we keep a level head when it comes to this type of stuff. Now, let's debunk one other thing. It hasn't been talked about in a while, but I still see it every once in a while. Well, people are confused about the FedNow program. They think that is a CBDC. And a lot of people, when this thing was announced, a lot of people were saying that is the CBDC. Well, the problem is FedNow is already in play. It's been in play for a while now, and we still don't have any CBDCs out there. It's not a CBDC, but it is a key piece of digital financial infrastructure that needed to be implemented for the coming CBDC for the United States. So if we take a look, FedNow comes from the Federal Reserve, and here's a few key aspects to this. 1, it is not a CBDC. This is not a digital currency. It is infrastructure. It is a system that CBDC can be used for. This is an instant payment transfer system. So it's 24/7, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. At any moment, even on holidays, you can transfer a payment through there, and it doesn't take as long to do when it comes to things like bank-to-bank transfers and stuff, where sometimes it would take a few days, up to 5 days. And then on top of that, if it was like a holiday or something, it wouldn't work for, that doesn't count as a working holiday. Well, FedNow was to cut through all of that. And it's in use now, and it's still being rolled out. And that is for the US banks and financial institutions. It's to make the transfer between the central bank and the financial institutions and the US banks and everything go much quicker. This connects to the future CBDC, as well as the Icebreaker Hub. We will talk about the Icebreaker Hub a little bit later, so hang on to that, because I think that's a key project that the Bank for International Settlements, or the BIZ, has been working on, which just closed their testing last year. So we'll talk about that in just a second. And it can be used for UBI payments. There's no need for several-day transfer to transfer funds into people's UBI digital accounts. It'll just be instant, and it can also be taken away instant as well. So that's an important thing to do. So FedNow is not a CBDC, but it is a financial infrastructure system that will be used for the CBDC when it comes into place. So I think we have kind of an idea of what the CBDC is, the different versions of it, how it can be used, why it will be used, at least in the future here, as well as what is FedNow and how the U.S. prepared for the release of a CBDC, which they're still, at least from what we understand, still developing. It could be done behind the scenes, and again, they're just waiting for the time to implement it. We don't know exactly for sure. How does this go global? How does this become part of a one world system? Because that's really kind of what we're looking for as prophecy watchers. We're trying to find those little stones to turn over, to see what's going to happen specifically to become a prophetic thing in Revelation. Now, me personally, I don't believe that this global financial system is going to happen while the church is still here. I believe that's something that's going to happen after we're raptured, because the financial system, the coming global financial system, has ties to the coming World War III that we understand is going to happen. They're working in conjunction, and they both need to happen at the same time. So I don't believe an altering event like that is going to happen. You may have a different opinion. That's cool. But that's just my opinion. But how does it become global? In order for it to become global, you have to tear down every single country's financial infrastructure. And I mean, not just put it on pause, put it on hold, take little pieces of it and replace it. No, you have to demolish everything, which is one of the reasons why it'll be tied into World War III when this happens. But you have to demolish everything to bring in this brand new financial system. And so the Bank for International Settlements is an organization that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, at least when it comes to the prophetic sense of things. We often talk about this central bank and that central bank and what this country is doing and what that country is doing and what they're developing here. But the thing is the Bank for International Settlements is one of the top people. They sit above people even like the World Economic Forum, the UN, the IMF, or the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank. The Bank for International Settlements sits above all of them. They are the central bank that controls all of the other world central banks. And yes, that even includes people like China, Saudi Arabia, and Russia. And so that's a key aspect. So whenever the bank or the Bank for International Settlements or the BIZ is working on something and they make moves and they announce stuff, we definitely need to be paying attention, because they are the ones in control of all this stuff. The best way to put it, any country's central bank can't make a big move without the permission of the BIZ. That's an important aspect. And one of the things that the BIZ has been working on is Project Enbridge. And this is a key aspect to creating a global one world financial system. So we could see here, this is from the 5th of June of this year. It says Project Enbridge reaches minimum viable product stage and invites further international participation. Project Enbridge continues its development and has reached the minimum viable product, or MVP, stage, while broadening its international reach. The project aims to explore a multi-central bank digital currency platform. Here we go. The project aims to explore a multi-central bank digital currency platform shared among participating central banks and commercial banks, built on distributed ledger technology to enable instant cross-border payments and settlements. Project mBridge is the result of extensive collaboration starting in 2021 between the Biz Innovation Hub, the Bank of Thailand, the Central Bank of the United Arab Emirates, the Digital Currency Institute of the People's Bank of China, and the Hong Kong Monetary Authority. And here we go. The Saudi Central Bank is joining mBridge as a full participant. There are also now more than 26 observing members. Let's keep going. It says the project aims to tackle some of the key inefficiencies in cross-border payments, including high costs, low speed, and operational complexities. It also addresses financial inclusion concerns, particularly in jurisdictions where correspondent banks, which connects countries to the global financial system, has been in retreat, causing additional costs and delays. Basically, what they're saying is some banks have put this stuff on pause because of all the costs of it. This new system is going to make it so they can jump back in without those costs or delays. Multi-CBDC arrangements that connect different jurisdictions in a single common technical infrastructure offer significant potential to improve the current system and allow cross-border payments to be immediate, cheap, and universally acceptable with final settlement. A platform based on a new blockchain, the mBridge Ledger, was built to support real-time peer-to-peer cross-border payments and foreign exchange transactions. In 2022, a pilot with real value transactions was indeed conducted. Since then, the mBridge project team has been exploring whether the prototype platform could evolve to become an MVP, a stage now reached. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff in there. I understand that. A lot of words and a lot of syllables and things like that. To put it simply, mBridge is a global singular digital currency ledger system. If you don't know what a financial ledger is, it's a ledger that holds accounts and transactions of every bank or user that is on that ledger to keep a record of all transfers and all transactions, how much money you have, and whose account it is. What the Biz is doing, and they just reached a new stage of it this June, is basically creating a global digital currency ledger. All participants who are a part of this ledger system, any cross-border, peer-to-peer, or in-country transactions will be recorded to that participant's account on the ledger. This is a one world financial ledger. And that's a key step to making sure that a one world economy, at least on a digital platform, comes into effect. Now, let's go back to 2022 when they were talking about this. This is Project mBridge connecting economies through CBDC. You can see the actual document there. We're not going to go through the whole document, but it says connecting economies through CBDC, October 2022. It says joint report by the Biz Innovation Hub, Hong Kong Center, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, the Bank of Thailand, the Digital Currency Institute of the People's Banks of China, and the Central Bank of the United Arab Emirates. Project mBridge is a collaboration between the Biz Innovation Hub and all of those I just explained. After experimenting with different technology architectures in earlier phases of the project team developed a new blockchain, the mBridge Ledger, custom built by central banks for central banks to serve as a specialized and flexible platform for implementation of multi-currency cross-border payments and central bank digital currencies. Okay, so why I'm pointing that out is we often hear there's a one world currency coming, and that could very well be. But I want to give you an idea to think about. Just maybe store it in your head, and kind of any other information that comes to CBDCs coming forward, any more news, maybe have this in the back of your head rattling around and see if it may fit for you. Because something from my study, at least in scripture and the news, we don't necessarily need one singular digital coin for the entire world. We don't necessarily need that. We just need a system that can make all of those digital currencies operate as one singular digital coin. Something to think about. And how they're planning this, how they're developing this. Again, for now, this could change in the future. I'm not saying that there's not going to be one singular currency, which it could be. But for now, it seems like they're operating under the terms of one system that will create all other digital currencies and make it operate as one currency. And that's where Project Icebreaker comes into play, which we'll talk about in just 1 second. I know I've said that twice already, but I just want to point one other thing out. We talked about how there is full participants as well as 26 observing banks a part of this system. Let's take a look. So full participants in Project Enbridge, we've got the Biz Innovation Hub, Bank of Thailand, Central Bank of UAE, Digital Currency, Bank of China, Hong Kong Monetary Authority, and now the Saudi Central Bank. So we got those as full participants. Who's observing members? Well, you can see them there. We're not going to go through all of them, but I want to point out a few that are pretty important when it comes to financial systems. Bank Indonesia is a big one. A lot of people are probably going, huh? Pay attention to what comes out of Indonesia when it comes to financial stuff. They're usually involved in all of these things, some way, shape, or form. So Bank of Indonesia, Bank of France, Bank of Israel, those are all key ones as well. We can jump down. Central Bank of Egypt is important. Central Bank of Jordan is another important one. Central Bank of Turkey, especially since we know their role when it comes to future prophetic events like Ezekiel 38 and whatnot. European Central Bank, of course. International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, of course. That's an important one there. New York Innovation Center, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, the Reserve Bank of Australia. Australia is one of the guinea pig countries. Whenever they got going on there, soon it's going to come to the rest of the world. And then, of course, the World Bank. And so those are all observing members. They're all involved with watching over and contributing, consulting when it comes to this Enbridge project, which, of course, is the global central ledger for this coming CBDC. Okay, so Icebreaker. Why this is important. We brought it up when it comes to FedNow, connects to the future CBDC, and Icebreaker Hub, as well as how do we get all these currencies to operate as one single currency. Let's take a look. Project Icebreaker is from the biz as well, so that's why it's important to pay attention to. It says Project Icebreaker concludes, this is in 2023, for a new architecture for cross-border retail CBDCs. Oh, so we're moving into retail stuff at this point. It says the Bank for International Settlements and the Central Bank of Israel, Norway, and Sweden have concluded Project Icebreaker, which studied the potential benefits and challenges of using retail central bank digital currencies, so the currencies we would hold, in international payments. How many people have ever bought something from another country? I have. Even something like, say you're in the United States, you bought something from Canada. We're on the same continent, but still it's a different country with a different currency. Well, how would that work if I have a digital currency of, say, I don't know, Fed coin, as well as if I want to buy something in Canada, how does that get transferred over into Canada coin? I don't know. I'm just making stuff up just to make a point here. How does that work? Well, they got to have a system for that. And how the current financial system is you have the exchange rate, and it's got to get transferred over. So money gets sent to this bank, which then they transfer it over with the exchange rate, and then that gets sent over, and it's a whole, whole rigmarole of stuff you got to do. How can they make that simpler? Well, that's what Project Icebreaker is about. A collaboration between the Biz Innovation Hub, Nordic Center, Bank of Israel, Norges Bank, and Sverige Bank. Yeah, that's the best I got. Sorry. The project tested the technical feasibility of conducting cross-border and cross-currency transactions between different experimental retail CBDCs. As detailed in the report, Project Icebreaker sets out to explore a specific way to interlink domestic systems, a so-called hub and spoke solution. A cross-border transaction is broken down into two domestic payments facilitated by a foreign exchange provider active in both domestic systems. Therefore, retail CBDCs never need to leave their own system. Interesting. In most existing cross-border payment systems, the payer has no choice regarding the exchange rate, as it has no control on who the provider of foreign exchange conversion is. In the model developed by the Icebreaker, developed by the Icebreaker project, many foreign exchange providers can submit quotes to the system's hub, which automatically selects the cheaper one for the end user. So what does that mean? Basically, how this will work is there's going to be a central banking hub. I guess that's the best way to put it, where if you have one person from one country trying to buy something from the other person, the money, digital currency, will go into that central hub, and then it will automatically just get transferred over into the right amount of money and then get sent over to that person all instantaneously, 24/7. No worry about holidays or anything like that. And everything will go accordingly. So the best way to do it is this. This is Icebreaker Hub, cross-border retail CBDC payment system. So for the Bank of International Settlements. So you have the buyer, say you're in the United States and you want to buy something from Israel. Well, the buyer's money, the CBDC money, retail CBDC, will go to the central hub, which has an intermediary central bank digital currency or a singular coin for exchange rates. And then it will then take that exchange rate coin, transfer it into Israel's central bank digital currency, and get sent over to the seller all instantaneously. The moment you press the button, it's already in the seller's account. And that idea of multiple currencies now becoming a central coin will all work accordingly with this Icebreaker central hub system. You pair that with the Mbridge digital currency global ledger, and all accounts and transactions will be recorded on there. All currencies will have an exchange rate that are all backed by that central hub intermediary coin. And it's all 24/7 instant access, 100% programmable, trackable, traceable, can be released and taken from everybody's account as according to what they so choose to do. Say you say something bad about the government, well, they can strike you for that and take the money. So that is a crash course into what has been developing when it comes to central bank digital currencies. Now, of course, there's a whole bunch of news and different things going on out there, but I believe this should answer some questions on the who, the how, the what, the why, and how this central bank digital currency can become a one world economy, either by multiple coins or eventually maybe getting folded into a singular coin, and how this works when it comes to central banks holding coins that will back the retail version that we will eventually get when we get our digital ID and digital wallets. So hopefully this will help you guys out in explaining that stuff. Again, there's a lot more to it, but I think this is a simple way of putting it. Hopefully I didn't lose anybody, because I know when it comes to financial stuff, it can be kind of boring to listen to, but this is very interesting for the prophecy watchers. So hopefully this will help answer some questions. But anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. Again, I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't fear. I often get questions about, well, what do we do if we're forced into getting the digital currency and stuff like that? Again, don't worry. I just don't worry. The Lord has gotten us this far. He's not going to leave us now. And if that does happen, which again, I don't think we might see the introduction of it, but I don't believe that we're going to see this global economy until World War III kicks off. And I just don't believe that we're going to be here. That's my opinion, though. I hold on to that. But again, if you ask my opinion, that's what I'll tell you. Just don't worry. Don't fear. Lord's in control of all this. He sits above time. He's seen all this stuff. Nothing makes him panic. So if he's not panicking and you have your hope and your trust in him, why on earth are you panicking? Just saying. Anyways, I'm Zach, the WretchedWatchman. Thank you guys for joining me today. And yeah, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your weekend. And yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out. Maranatha.